I want to talk about that 2018 offseason, and you just said it was depressing at times, and I say this a lot. I never experienced the level you're at, but in the minor leagues, like, is the first time I really experienced like actually struggling, and the game becomes so mental at a certain level. It becomes like who can separate themselves mentally. And I struggled with it. I'd turn an 0 for 4 and into an 0 for 8, into an 0 for 20. And it seems like for you, that 2018 offseason changed everything. So go in depth on that offseason, because it intrigues me so much, because I struggled mentally in the minor leagues. And it sounds like you struggled mentally at the highest level. And then in 2018, it all switched. Your mentality, your pitching motion, it just seems to me, from an outside perspective, like the most interesting transformation over one offseason that I've seen in a long time. So kudos to you, but I do want to hear about that.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. So yeah, that 2018 season, like, I recognized a couple things. Mechanically, I was not on time. Any basics about pitching, like when my left foot was hitting the ground and I was getting ready to deliver the ball, like, my arm was late, constantly late, which leads to a lot of negative things, lack of command control, stuff not being as good, and even the risk for injury. So I knew on the physical side, like, that has to be cleaned up. I have to find a way to be more consistent with my mechanics and be on time. And so that's kind of where Ethan came in. I had worked with him obviously in high school, and then like every off season leading up to any season in baseball that I had. But over like the last few years around there in particular, it had almost been like I'd gotten complacent with like where I was at, what my work ethic was. And so when he would come to me in like the 16 off season, the 17 off season, with like, hey, I have this new drill, I have this new tool I want you to try, I'd be like, yeah, it's not really for me. Like, I like what I do.
Right. And
obviously unfortunately took that 18 season for me to go to him and be like, what do you got for me?
I'm in.
I'm in. I'm all ears. Like, what can we do? Like, here's what needs to change. And he's like, all right, cool, let's get to work. So on the physical side, it really started with cleaning up my arm action. I had a stab and it was really long. And so we just started some like light plyo care routine stuff, like those big squishy balls that are weighted. Just started throwing them against the wall. It's a story I tell all the time of like literally day one, he puts this big green ball in my hand and he's like, all right, stand, face the wall and throw it against the wall. And so I did it and it hurt. Like, I'm late, I come through, right, and I'm like, ow, man, what do you got me doing? Like, I made my shoulder hurt. And he's like, yeah, no crap, your shoulder hurt. You're so like out of whack and like not on time. Like, why don't you do it again?
Wow.
And feel athletic with it. Like, be a shortstop, be a second baseman, like get into your legs a little bit, like let it flow.
Well, this is tough because you already said you're not an athlete. So I can see where where this becomes tough.
I've become one over time. But yeah, so that next rep, literally rep number 2, I was like, all right, cool. Like, second baseman, throwing to first, quick play. And I just kind of did it short and it felt really good. Like, I was like, oh, okay, cool. That shoulder pain completely went away. And he was like, cool, there we go. Like, good starting point. Let's go from there. And so it was like pretty much every day, every other day, like I'm just throwing these balls against the wall, a few different like motions. That's it. It wasn't like the full-on program that you see a lot of pitchers doing, just a few exercises. And we're just working into that. And then once I started playing catch with baseball again, same thing. I'd throw these balls against the wall, then I'd pick up a baseball. And it was like 60, 70 feet, moving my feet, pretending I'm an infielder. And my arm action was just much shorter. And at first I was like, that's kind of weird, but it feels really good. And the ball's coming out better, and I'm spinning it better, and it's more accurate. So I'm just going to stick with this.
All right.
and so we did that. We started doing a bunch of stuff for my legs. Got with my off-season trainer. We started to like focus more on like a lot of single leg stuff, getting the backside of my legs stronger and more stable because I was pitching very quad dominant. Working on my hips, and then I started doing these drills with this thing called the core velocity belt. It's like this belt you put on, and you can like maneuver rubber bands around it to essentially it like gave me the feeling of like getting into my back leg, my back glute, and like driving down the mound. Because before that, I was all quad dominant and tall and fall.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, I'm doing these drills, I'm doing this stuff every single day. That was it for the physical side. I mean, it just went from there.
Yeah.
I got very comfortable with it early, and then it was like, all right, cool. Now do more.
Right.
Get it
Repetition.
locked. Keep it going. I say it's still a work in progress at this point. Like, it will forever be a work in progress until I retire and I'm over it. But yeah, I mean, that was that part of it. And then the mental side, 18 showed me that I was going out there for some games and like having borderline panic attacks, and I was dealing with a lot of anxiety. So it was like, I don't want to pitch like that anymore. That's not fun. So I started doing a lot more mental work, working with my sports psychologist, and doing this thing called neurofeedback training, where it was basically like focus training and like just hardcore visualization stuff, utilizing a computer software. And I just really got into it. I marathoned through like 28 sessions over a month right before spring training, just like doing hardcore visualization, like trying to put myself in every single stressful situation that a starting pitcher can be in, and seeing myself like just dominating. That was pretty much it. And utilizing the software to kind of like reach the subconscious mind, so to speak.
Wow.
And it just like, it clicked for me. I really liked it. And so I showed up to spring training feeling like completely retooled. Like I felt more confidence just going in because I knew like physically I was in a better spot. Like I knew that I could go out there and throw 95 and throw strikes, and that, I'd be more prepared. And I didn't even have a great spring training. Like I was still working on a few of the mechanical things, especially pitching out of the stretch. Like I hadn't really gotten that part yet. And so I was doing a lot of work on my like slide step in spring training. My numbers weren't good, but it was almost like all that work I'd done on the mental side, like I didn't care. It was like, all right, cool, spring training, working on stuff. I am ready for this season.
Right.
Like I feel good. And then sure enough, ended up having a good year.
Thanks for watching. If you love flipping bats, swinging 3-0, or just talking ball, join us. Call us at 213-537-9339 with your questions. We have a weekly guest, and we have a lot of fun, so hit that subscribe button.